All right, guys, working our way through some mailbag here. I'm trying once a week or every kind of week and a half, 2 weeks, looking through the comments on my YouTube channel here, taking some feedback from my mailing list, and looking at some of the post searches and comments on my blog. And underneath this vlog podcast are links that will fire you back to there, trying to assemble it, trying to put it together, and share with you a little bit of my hobby, a little bit of the direction where I'm looking to go, and getting that course correction if it's needed on there. Blackstone Fortress. Made it through. Very interesting, no spoilers on there. I really have been enjoying the game. Now I can finally start painting them. Yes, I've been committing absolute heresy playing with unpainted miniatures, and here it is from a vlog a couple of weeks back where I'm lecturing don't play with unpainted miniatures, and I've been spotted playing with unpainted miniatures. Yes, absolutely. The game has been that captivating, both from a solo experience playing it, yet at the same time, playing it with some friends, some other 40K enthusiasts, going through the campaign, and then getting to play it from, what would the term be? The Overlord? It's got an interesting mechanic where you can play solo, you can play with a group, or the hostiles in there, one player can take control of them and throw them up against the other players. And what works for Blackstone Fortress for me, it is a really, really refreshing break from regular 40K. It allows you to play skirmish. It allows you to have some different models with abilities and a backstory on there. And it works different than Kill Team, but it's a little bit more satisfying. And you guys know I love Kill Team. I've got my Cornate Warband ready to go, absolutely on there. But it works better because based on the setting and the narrative and the items that you can uncover, it really feels like I'm on the Blackstone Fortress. It feels like I'm playing Dark Heresy when it was released back in the game. It just has that 40K vibe on there. So now we're starting to paint the miniatures, and I'm getting them up ready to go. Expansions. Where are my expansions on here? Being a completionist, it's crazy. So as of this podcast right now, we've got the core. We've had the White Dwarf release. I think that was January 2019. We have the Amble. They've announced the Trader Guard. That's interesting, taking on a Commissar from there and taking on kind of the rogue renegade Ogren. That fits in with the Trader Guard in the set. It fits into the kind of other theme in there, so it's an interesting plug-in. There's been some additional heroes alluded to, some sort of arena combat game, but basically it's like we're sitting on these two expansions, and when are they going to be released on there? The game, in my opinion, what it does a little bit better than Silver Tower, and I enjoyed playing that. I didn't have to jump into Silver Tower simply because a friend of mine who is also a completionist and a much better painter than me, he went all in everything Silver Tower. So anytime I feel like that, I'm going to go there. And this isn't a fair comparison because Silver Tower was great, but it was the first release of this, new quest type format. So it's not fair to say, okay, even if I put the narrative aside, Blackstone Fortress is better. Well, yes, it's better in some areas because it's had a chance to evolve into it. And what they do right, we see this with the Amble, and what's been hinted at with the Trader Guard pack is this plug-and-play modules where not only do you get some new enemies, but you also get some new quests, some new vault rewards. That works. That allows them to put out a little box and charge you $60 for it, and we're lining up to get it. But even with that diversity and even with how well the game scales and replayability, like many of these type of dungeon crawl games, and look, I love dungeon crawling games, it needs more minions. We need more base encounters on there. And that's not to say the base encounters aren't rich and tactical. They are, but you want more. And what I'm a little bit surprised about is certainly the quality of miniatures for the newer kits and Games Workshop is on par with Blackstone Fortress. So you want to have that visual appeal. We're not taking some like third edition 40K Berserkers, literally the same models, and dropping them into Blackstone Fortress. with that. Now, maybe you want to drop in the new Plague stuff. Yeah, absolutely. But what I wonder is, Games Workshop, you have a license to print money here, even more than the usual license to print money. Release a little pack or have some cards, even better. In White Dwarf, put in some encounter cards, some enemy AI cards for some of the different packs that are out there in the current model line, regular 40K model lines, and it'll just be crazy. So I'm really hoping for some more. I'm hoping they'll push it out. The game is still a favorite of mine because it has replaced, still love Space Hulk, it has replaced Space Hulk as my secret weapon. So the secret weapon is this. Play a lot of regular 40K with the 40K crew. When I need a little bit of a break because I'm burning out, but I still want to play 40K, boom, we jump right into Blackstone Fortress. And everybody knows it, and we have the narrative, and it's great. When I haven't had a chance to play 40K for a little while, and I'm with the board gaming group, and I'm feeling that 40K fix is necessary, you bust out something like Blackstone Fortress, and the board gamers will play it on there, and you get that 40K narrative. And it's also a little bit refreshing because they don't understand 40K. They don't really know the full narrative, although it is going more and more mainstream. I mean, when you start seeing Munchkin 40K, like, wow, we've actually arrived there on that. So certainly it's going more mainstream with that. But in playing it, it's interesting to see people that their first encounter with the Grimdark and how they react to it, and the narrative and how they bring things in. So it's great on both of those ends and pushing that out. Battletech. I've got the starter set, the Game of Armored Combat core, and what I'm calling the head-to-head starter set. I got those miniatures painted up. They took me a little bit longer because my question to myself, and this is the thing, you just don't know with Catalyst. You don't know where things are going to go. And they've got some momentum right now with the core and the starter. They've got the map packs out. They've got the expanded hex maps out. Maybe there's going to be some more miniatures. Maybe there aren't. My thought was paint these guys up, the new miniatures, to integrate into my existing lances, my existing mercenary companies, or start something new. And I was really thinking if they continue to release some new miniatures on there, then I want to start something completely new. Because right now, here's an example, like an awesome mech is in the starter set Game of Armored Combat, and in my 3 out of 4 mercenary companies, I have an awesome already in there, simply because I love the model, I love the narrative of the mech, I love playing it on the tabletop for a variety of reasons. So I like to incorporate one in most of my lists as a solid backbone there. So if I take the plastic awesome and I paint that up to my mercenary companies, well, I have 2. I'm never really going to field 2 because there's just, redundancy is good, but there's just so many amazing other toys that are out there. So I thought, okay, let's start something completely new. And if we're going to start something new, that's going to allow new packs, if Catalyst ever releases them, to start adding to that. Now, I'm making a conscious choice in terms of Battletech. I'm a big fan of combined arms. The game rewards you for combined arms. And what I mean by that is certainly you can go head-to-head, mech-to-mech, and explore Battletech that way. For many, many years, I'd say at least half of my Battletech career, decade plus, that's how I played Battletech. I love the mechs. But the game is a lot more fun. It's a lot more tactical. There's a lot more interesting things to explore by incorporating combined arms. And that's defined as I've got my mechs, I've got my tanks, I've got some air support, I've got some infantry, just total warfare, pushing things out on there. The challenge here with the new sculpts, I'm going non-combined arms mechs only, because my thought was with the new, and this is going to limit some tactical options here, but ultimately with the awesomeness, with the sexiness of the new plastic sculpts on there, I want to pour all of my battle value, whatever level we're going to play at, all of my battle value 100% into getting those mechs on the table. I don't want to pour any battle value into tanks or anything else. I want to show off those new sculpts. So that was kind of my thought process moving ahead. It's done. Underneath this podcast is a link that will take you back to my blog if you want to check out those mechs, they're ready. And for this Wednesday's game, we've got clans. We're going up against the clans. I'm going to put them down. We're going to see what we can do and how we can push that forward. Board gaming. Just when you think you're out, you're back in. I'm waiting on, as of this mailbag, I'm waiting on Zombicide Invader. It's still on track for June delivery, so maybe July delivery, somewhere out there. I enjoy certainly Cool Mini puts out, tons and tons of plastic on there. And the idea of Zombicide Modern, Zombicide Black Plague, Zombicide Invader, even something like Massive Darkness with its custom dice, they follow a tried and true formula. Put down lots of miniatures, spawn lots of miniatures by a card, roll a bunch of dice, see what happens, move around, rinse and repeat. Some say simplistic. I say for a board game with lots of minis, it works. So I was in a good place. I'm in a good place. I don't need to back anything else out. It's all good. Making my way through Fireball Island. That was the recent Kickstarter that I backed. But then we've got Bloodborne. And this is really intriguing me. I got in on the early bird. We'll see. See, this is how they get you. This is because being a completionist, I want to pick up everything. But I know as the campaign, it has about 20 days to go as of this mailbag. I know there's going to be a couple of Kickstarter exclusive add-ons that I have to go in now and get them because they're Kickstarter exclusive on there and you want the whole thing. So somehow something happens where you go in on a base pledge and you're like, not that it is not insignificant, but you go in and like, 80, 90, $100. And you're like, okay, $10, $20 for shipping. And then by the time the campaign ends, you're like $300 in. And it's just they have the formula out on there. But what is intriguing me about Bloodborne is Dark Souls done right. And I love Dark Souls. I do. I missed out on that Kickstarter, which turns out to be a good thing. I've been able to acquire all of the retail stuff on there, but that was just a mess. And as much as I enjoy the game, what pains me a little bit, it's got like a little bit of pain in there because there's so much more it could have been simply if it was released on schedule with that. And I don't even know if the rest of it will ever hit it to retail. So backing that out into Bloodborne, it's going to be done right. There's going to be lots of stuff in there. It's really kind of the next Genesis, the next extension. I mean, they're kind of the same IP. I know that's heresy just to say that. But pushing that forward, it makes sense. What has me intrigued, and it could kind of work both ways. I'm going to commit further heresy here. I enjoy Gloomhaven. I'm making my way through Gloomhaven. Gloomy is a groundbreaking game that's out there, certainly. But the lack of dice, I don't mind the components that are tokens everywhere and kind of setting that up. That makes sense. But the lack of dice, I'm a dice person on there. And I miss the dice. I miss the randomness, the swinginess of the dice with that. Now, I understand, it's polarizing. Some people want full control, and you want that Euro feel, and you don't want to lose a game just because of the dice. But for me, that's why I play a game, because I might lose it because of the dice, but if there's one single chance, this is coming from playing Khorne Berserkers for too long, if there's one single chance of absolute tabletop glory, I must go for it. In Battletech, you can't tempt me with death from above, because I'm going to take it. It's probably going to fail. It might cost me the game, but that's okay. We'll play again next week. But if I pull that off, bragging rights alone are worth the price of admission. So I like this idea of hopelessly outnumbered, which I translate to a target-rich environment, and pushing out the win. Dice-based games let you do that, but absolutely it could be frustrating. I understand that. So for previous Kickstarters, for Cool Mini to be totally based on dice, and now Bloodborne being cards on there, where it's going to be the AI with the bosses and the monsters card-based, how your hunters interact card-based. We haven't got a really clear example of it, but I am somewhat intrigued by it. So that's what's keeping me in that Kickstarter right now. Normally I would say honestly, look, I'm not because I want the dice, but I'm willing to admit when a company is going to take a risk on such a potent intellectual property IP and is really going to put so much into it, and they've always delivered, I do believe they know what they're doing on there. I do believe they're going to create something really, really interesting and really, really groundbreaking with that, which plays into the fact, the FOMO, the fear of missing out. If I don't get in and get all those expansions on there, once that pledge manager closes, you're kind of done. So we'll see how that plays out. Also, in talking with a couple of other friends in the board gaming group, as of right now, unless there's a stealth pledge, I seem to be the only one going in on this Kickstarter. So I feel like if I miss out on it, then we kind of miss out for the gaming group. A couple of other Kickstarters and other board games out there, if my friends go into it and they're going to paint it up and we're going to get to play it, then that saves my gaming time and my gaming wallet a lot of stress on there. Because when I feel like I want to play that game or explore that type of game, we can pull that in. So if someone else was going to do Bloodborne, maybe it would be a pass. But as of right now, going in, we're going to see what happens on there and push that out. D&D, to wrap it up, I'm still working on my campaign, my new campaign. No spoilers, just because really right now what I'm looking to do, I've got a couple of bosses and key NPC kind of opponents, players, to go up against the party. Now I'm looking to kind of really tie them to some key points on the map. And in this campaign, of course, you always have a map and you have places to explore. I'm really trying to pour a lot into the richness and the details of the actual realm where we're playing, that actual spot in there. And in pouring that love and effort into there, I really want to get some of the narrative down to these key places that they can explore, and then I'm going to tie in the 3 or 4 bosses on there. So a little bit different in how I regularly develop a campaign. We'll see how it plays out. I'm hoping to launch it. Of course, not that it's ever fully ready. I find with a D&D campaign, homebrew that you've created, it takes 1 or 2 full plays throughs with a group, and then taking that feedback, taking that notes. From there, you're absolutely ready to go. But I need to have that first kind of alpha launch on there. I'm hoping by June. I'm really hoping by June to have that ready. And of course, we'll push that info up to the channel. I'll push those ideas up to my blog and pushing it forward. So I think I've got most of the questions. I've covered most of it on there. I've got a couple of tweaks on Grey Knights. I've got a couple of tweaks on Tyranids. They're going to be pushing up on there. And in terms of Battletech, we're going to be following the momentum, exploring and examining some of the clan mechs and pushing those tactics out there, pure, looking at the mechs and how then they pair up if they're going to go up against other clan mechs for Trial of Possession, or if we're going to kind of scale it back and look at how do the various clan mechs work versus Inner Sphere, early invasion, pre-invasion, kind of pushing that out there.